I am back after a 2-month break from creating YouTube videos. During Q4, I always focus most of my energy on creating new books, and then I use various advertising strategies to give them a good chance of selling. My apologies if you've missed seeing my videos, but I will always put my KDP business before being a YouTuber. I hope that you're all seeing an increase in royalties as we approach Christmas. Q4 is of course the best time for most self-publishers. So I hope you're getting your fair share of the royalties available. I'm excited to share my December income report with you already, and we haven't even finished the month. But before I do December, I will run through my November income report. I will be sharing the types of books that I created, how much my best-selling books made, the big amount I spent on advertising, my Q4 strategy, and some insights that will help you for next Q4. So let's get into it. Now, I was a little bit worried about how the Amazon printing price increases were going to affect my royalties for Q4. My royalties for the months after the price increase were similar to last year's, so I wasn't expecting to break any personal bests for this year for that reason. But I am pleasantly surprised that I managed to hit over $7,000. For comparison, my royalties for last December were $7,425, and that was with a similar ad spend, which I will reveal in a minute. Most people are shocked at the amount of books I have, but I would like to remind you that a large portion of these books were created in my first year or so of publishing, and they are not up to the standard I have now. Therefore, I have unpublished around half of these books. But unfortunately, unpublished books still show on the royalty estimator. So don't let the number of books shown here put you off thinking that you need a similar amount to achieve these royalties. A member of my advertising blueprint course has 160 books published and earned over $7,000 for November. So it is very possible. For November, I created roughly 20 new books. These were a mixture of planners, logbooks, and simple lined journals. I don't normally bother with journals, but I've come to realize that even the most basic books can sell during Q4. And to my surprise, a few of these notebooks have been my best sellers during Q4. For a book to immediately start selling well is quite uncommon, but it is even rarer for a simple line journal to do this. Even though the journals have been a hit this Q4, I still hold the same old opinion that line journals are the easiest books to make and therefore the most popular for self-publishers. This means the market is flooded with them and it's hard to make a decent amount from them. So carry on making a mixture of different types of books. Here are the royalties for my top 10 best-selling books. You can see that these top 10 books brought in over half of my total royalties, which backs up my point that you don't need thousands of books to earn a decent amount. These books are a mixture of activity books, planners, and just 2 logbooks. The new journals didn't make it into the top 10 for November, but when I release the December income report, you will see them there, and I think you will be shocked at how much they've earned. In that video, I will reveal the amount of royalties that each of the top 10 books brought in. My hardcover sales were a bit disappointing at only $459, but the printing increases have hit these books the hardest. Because of these increases, I had to raise my hardcover prices quite a lot, and obviously the customers are not willing to pay the price. For comparison, last November, my hardcover royalties were closer to $700. So you can see why my overall royalties this November have fallen short. Now, let me share my strategy for this Q4. This is my 5th Amazon KDP Q4, and I have learned how to effectively squeeze every drop out of it. I have had to make slight adjustments this year though. Because I have a full-time job, I normally save up most of my annual leave for October-November time so that I can give most of my time to Amazon KDP. However, this year, I used most of my leave to focus on creating my Amazon advertising course. This meant that I had less time than I normally would, and I've had to work on KDP around my shifts. What tends to happen every Q4 is I completely burn myself out by working way too hard. I always give myself a silly number of books to create. I also create A+ content for most of them, and I have around 150 advertising campaigns to monitor and optimize. When Q4 is finished each year, I am mentally exhausted and I do not wish to look at any advertising campaigns or even think about creating another book. This year, I wanted to avoid putting this unnecessary pressure on myself, especially as I knew I would have even less time due to work commitments. So I had a little team talk with myself and decided that whatever I get done will be enough, and I won't make any sacrifices to my personal life. Last Q4, I created around 60 books, and this Q4, I will have created nearly 40. That is quite a big drop in the number of books I've created. As I have mentioned in previous videos, I like to use the leverage of Amazon advertising to my advantage. From my experience, it is more beneficial to dedicate more time to advertising each book rather than solely publishing lots of books and not advertising them. So I really applied that strategy this Q4 and invested heavily. I tried testing out a lot of different ad strategies to the new books, including my launch strategy and other various campaign types. For this reason, my ad spend was a whopping $2,500 for November. That is the same as last November, and the high ad spend is part of my plan. My ad spend was high because I like to run a lot of new campaigns and see what ones work and what don't. I'm not afraid to invest money in testing out new campaigns. I then make sure I discard the ad campaigns that don't perform well and keep the ones that do, in order that I can capitalize on the increased volume of shoppers in December. Running ads to my books helps them get sales and pushes them higher up the Amazon rankings. The goal is that they will get as close as possible to page 1 for a number of search terms. Then I benefit from not only ad sales, but organic sales too. I know that this strategy works because I've been doing this for years. This December is going to plan, as I've already surpassed the number of royalties I got for the whole of November, and we still have a lot of days left to earn more. You may be thinking that spending $2,500 on ads in 1 month is crazy and not something that you will ever do. But I would like to remind you that these are only profits that I've reinvested back into my business. I have slowly increased my ad spend over the last 4 years as my profits have grown. In the first 3 months of advertising, I probably only spent about $100 in total. I just want to make that point in case some of you are thinking that you need to invest a similar amount of money immediately in order to be successful, because you don't. You will get to this stage over a period of time like I have, and everything is relative. As I mentioned in my advertising course, I would happily spend $10,000 per month on ads if my campaigns were consistently at break even or less, and it didn't require too much of my time. Hopefully, one day I will get to that level. Another part of my strategy was to cut down the number of marketplaces I advertise on. So I focused on the UK and the USA, and I stopped all campaigns for Canada, Germany, and Australia. Last year, I had way too many campaigns to keep under control, which added to a lot of my stress. So cutting down the number of campaigns was a good call. The last part of my strategy was to outsource some of the A+ content for the new books. Yes, I can do it myself, but there are others that can do it faster than me, and it will be better quality too. I still did a lot of A+ content myself, but for the books that I thought were really good, I chose to outsource those to give them the best chance of succeeding. That is the strategy that I've used so far this Q4. If you have found these little insights helpful, please leave me a like and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on more tips in December's income report. Now, let me show you my total expenses for November. The only expenses that have changed this month are the amount I have paid for advertising, and I also paid a few people to design some A+ content for me. After I take away my expenses from my royalties, I am left with $4,654. I'm very happy with the November results, especially as I was expecting a lot less than last year due to the increases in printing. So that is it for today's video. Remember to subscribe so that you don't miss December's income report. Will I beat my personal best of $14,189 in 1 month? We shall see. I hope that the royalties continue to roll in for you. Have a fantastic Christmas for those that celebrate it, and Happy New Year to you all. Take care.